with the government of Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, we see democracy moving. We see freedom of expression. We see the economy is booming gradually. So that's another value for us as an independent and sovereign state.
A male-dominated country, plagued by civil war, a female president was unthinkable. But Ellen would go on to win the country's first democratic election and shape Liberia in an unprecedented way.
Come on. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, President of the Republic of Liberia.
She is the first female head of state in Africa.
We are all Liberia, Liberia.
Do hereby swear that I will support.
Ellen Johnson Sirleaf was elected President of Liberia in 2005. 2 years after the country emerged shattered from a brutal civil conflict. She was a popular activist and in her late 60s.
We will vote for Liberia, and I think she stands for Liberia. And that was the feeling.
We thought that Liberia had just received a declaration of independence, because we saw something like, oh yes, Liberia is about to be transformed.
But in this West African country, which has traditionally been split into communities ruled by male chiefs, politics had long been thought to be no place for a woman.
We feel fear in this political arena because you feel alone, You'll be called names, your siblings, your parents, your relatives, everybody is scared. But the thing is not your area, what will happen to you, and somehow to shield you as a woman. But we are saying no, and she said no, I don't need to be shielded.
She was very focused, and from small, she always felt that she would either be the president of this country or she would hold some high office.
Life started for young Ellen and 3 siblings in the center of Liberia's capital, Monrovia.
She was living here because they played the Golden Mansion. It was small when we used to play football. right around here, and she used to ride the bicycle, going up and down, coming back.
She was a very, very active young girl. Actually, we could say people called her a tomboy, and she could climb trees as fast as we boys could, and she even played football with us.
But it was her outspokenness that had always set her apart.
As I progressed in academia, I became very, very vocal, taking issues, whether it was, in my class or whether it was in my professional life. So I think that may have propelled me to where I am.
She spoke out for equality, a value that had been instilled in her by the dual heritage of her parents. Her father's ancestors had been in Liberia for many generations, the so-called indigenous Liberians. Her mother was raised primarily by ancestors of those former slaves who arrived in the country around 200 years ago from America. There was a long-running feud between the groups.
Well, she wanted equality, and she wanted an emergence of the Liberian people coming together as one. She spoke out against the domination of elitist families, so-called Americo-Liberians, as against the indigenous Liberian. She took a very strong position on those issues. And so she became popular and well-known with grassroots people.
She studied economics at home before attending Harvard University in the United States of America, returning in her early 30s. At the time, prominent Americo-Liberian William Tolbert was president, and he appointed the young but highly educated Ellen to the finance ministry.
When you go in, go prepared.
William Tolbert's daughter, Christine Tolbert Norman, also worked in the government.
I saw her dynamism. I saw at that point she didn't fail to express her interest politically. I was impressed by her because she was a woman who was ambitious.
She attracted attention with a fiery speech to the Liberian Chamber of Commerce. She claimed that the country's corporations were harming the economy by hoarding their profits or sending them overseas.
We always try to tell her, moderate your views, because, the men in Liberia, it's very difficult for them to accept equality with women or having outspoken women, because women were at the time very shy. They were expected to stay in a place as mothers.
Only 1 year after Ellen became finance minister, William Talbot was assassinated. 13 of his cabinet officials were publicly executed 10 days later. The coup was by indigenous military rebels led by Master Sergeant Samuel Doe. Ellen was one of only 4 ministers to survive. Still, she later spoke out against Samuel Doe's regime and was sentenced to 10 years in prison.